Hello, everybody. In today's podcast, I want to talk about forgiveness. Forgiveness is really, really hard, and I think if you've suffered from abuse, you will understand this. The first thing I want to say to you is that you don't have to forgive them right now, and if you choose not to forgive them, that's a choice you make. However, to forgive them really helps you. It doesn't help them much, but it sure helps you because you don't carry it with you. So the first things I want to say is that forgiveness has two aspects. Like you need to forgive them, and you sort of need to forgive yourself for what's gone on, because it wasn't your fault, but you will actually feel in that way that somehow you were part of it. So you need to forgive yourself for that part. And even if you were in an adult relationship and they're very abusive, and you end up screaming and throwing things at them in the end because you couldn't stand it, because you were just reacting, you couldn't deal with this anymore, you need to forgive yourself for that because you weren't the one who started it. If you want to forgive somebody, you really have to let go of all the anger and the hurt. And that sounds really easy to do, and we're all trying to do it, but I just want to tell you that while you have that anger towards them, and it's rightful, and that rage and resentment towards them, and the hate, you might have some hate there too, you won't be able to forgive them. You just won't. It won't happen. I just suggest that you work on those emotions we've been talking about through the podcast. And the anger-based one's really important because it sort of like makes a barrier to the relationship. Anger always is like a barrier in the relationship until it's dissipated or got rid of or expressed. And in many cases, you won't be able to express your anger to your abuser because if you do, you could get hurt. And you need to keep safe and remember that. Therefore, use all your modalities, your writing, your journaling, your counselling, some physical stuff, your tapping, your breath work, your meditation, your self-hypnosis, whatever works for you. You need to try and get rid of the anger. Sometimes bashing things is kind of good. I remember once I was just so angry with my dad when I found out. I was like massively, and I was angry with my mum too, actually. And I remember I went out the back and I put a rug out there, and I got a big baseball bat and I just went out there and smashed the rug. You know how you used to clean them in the olden days? I just did that. And it sort of helped to get rid of some of it. Sometimes very heavy exercise will do that as well, or get rid of it. You'll feel better afterwards because your body releases it. The other thing you need to let go of is the hurt, because it's really hurtful. And the hurt will be there from what they did to you, either physically or emotionally, mentally, all the different ways that abusers like to do it. And you need to let go of that hurt because these two emotions aren't good for you. The hurt will end up creating problems, and problems in your throat, in your stomach, in your heart, all over the place. I just sort of think you need to think about doing that, and in that way it'll be easier for you. You need to find a way that it'll actually be easier for you to cope, and don't do it straight away. And forgiveness can sort of come off in layers. There's layers of forgiveness, so you can have one lot of layer of forgiveness and then you think you've done it, and then some other incident comes back or you remember something, then you're angry again and upset. So then you have to do another layer. It doesn't always just come off, unfortunately, in one big slab. I love that it came off in one big slab, but it actually doesn't. The forgiveness is for you also to break that with them, that bond with them, because when you forgive someone, you sort of let them go and they sort of don't have the power over you anymore to really mess you up, because you've forgiven them what you've done and you've put it behind you. And it also stops the grudges. You don't hold grudges once you've forgiven people. They may never forgive you. I want you to understand that. My dad never forgave me, and I don't think my husband, who was also abusive but in a different way, even on his deathbed, I don't think he really forgave me. I did forgive him, but I don't think he forgave me. So you need to understand that their capacity to forgive is probably non-existent because they think they were right and it was their right, and how dare you stand up to me. It becomes a power and control thing, and they're not coming from a love perspective for you at all. It's just about maintaining and keeping the control of you. So don't expect forgiveness to come in that place. They won't be wanting to do that. If anything, rather than forgive you, they'll probably want to just blame you and lie about it. So I just want you to understand that, where you might go in and do the forgiveness thing, either absently if they're not with you or you're estranged, or even where you say to them, I forgive you, but don't expect them to say, I forgive you back, or even say they're sorry, because they will not often take responsibility. But that's all their stuff, isn't it? That's, as they say, their karma. Once you start forgiving people, it feels really good. It feels like, oh God, thank goodness for that. They can just be who they are and I've forgiven them. And then you make a choice whether you want to have close contact still, just medium, or like not much or no contact. And that's the choice you make. Just because you forgive someone doesn't mean that you have to stay with them. You know, people think you do, like in the movies with a lovely happy ending. But a lot of us don't get that happy ending, which is really sad, isn't it? Because I would have liked the happy ending, but I didn't get it either. And it's to do with the fact that abusers don't want to give up control and power to you, and so they don't want to really say they're sorry or make it better. They might do some damage control along the way, particularly in adult relationships. They do that a lot. However, they don't actually really be repentant, or whatever the word is. I think that's the word. And they don't really want to take it on. That's what I think. They don't want to take it on. It becomes like your problem in their mind that you couldn't deal with it, and why are you still carrying on about it, and it happened ages ago. It'll be that kind of conversation. Work towards forgiving people for you, and also because you're not bound to them anymore. Because once you have let go of the anger and the hurt and any other emotion that comes up for you, emotional pain and fear, once you let that go, that